Good morning. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Marcia, founder and president of Two Heartbeats, Two Lives. Mission statement of Two Heartbeats, Two Lives, briefly, is to empower women with the right to life-saving information about the impact of abortion and resources that are systemically made unavailable. Two, to educate women concerning the link between abortion, mass incarceration, and genocide, as well as the language and policies that affect our communities and culture. Third is to engage women to prepare to preserve their culture by choosing to exercise their right to all levels of information surrounding women's health and that of their unborn child. Our mission is to preserve life through integrity of information and serve as a pregnancy resource center by empowering women to transform their lives and communities through education and engagement.
Amen.
I want to just say thank you to all the speakers who are here today. Thank you for everyone who is going to participate, and I just want to encourage everyone to know that, everyone here is not in the choir. And this presentation is for everyone. This presentation is not just to preach to the choir.
That's right.
So we have to be mindful of how we share. We have to be mindful that we can be all things to all people as we please the Lord. Pearl Corbin, she is a native New Yorker. She spent the first 11 years in Asia, conducting leadership and discipleship training primarily in China. She labored in nations such as the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Korea, Taiwan. Pearl is a trained chaplain with United Chaplains, State of New York. And she enjoys going to to people who are incarcerated, like in Rikers Island, and she mentors others who are interested in ministering in the prisons. In 2016, Pearl began leading the 40 Days of Life prayer fasting campaign in the Bronx. Pearl has been given 2 internet radio programs where she teaches as well as discusses kingdom perspectives as they relate to current events. Pearl is sought out as a keynote speaker in conferences and training seminars across the United States and internationally. Pearl Corbin remains on the cutting edge of the move of God and brings a prophetic word to the nations for such a time as this. Without further ado, my friend, my roomie, oh my God, Pearl Corbin. Thank you.
So I'm Pearl, and I am just so happy to be with you today. Thank you, Marcia Thomas, for inviting me from Two Heartbeats, Two Lives. What a blessing to be here. Just to talk to you about some of the things that God has going on, not only in our nation, but specifically in New York City. Okay, so I was asked to talk about Expect Hope today. Expect Hope is the only, right now, evangelical home for babies and mamas in New York City, of all the 5 boroughs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how much of a need there is, but prior to that, I would love to introduce you to our executive director by the name of Emily Prince. No, she's not here, but you're going to see a video, and she's going to be talking about our home. All right, so without further ado, let's just see what we can hear from Emily Prince.
I'm Emily Prince, and I'd like to introduce Expect Hope, a Christ-centered residency program for unsupported expectant women in the Bronx, New York. I myself was born in the Bronx to a family who served men with life-controlling issues. I've always had it on my heart to be a part of a program that provided a similar service to women in this community. While volunteering as a peer counselor at a crisis pregnancy clinic, I heard from women who told me that they believed abortion was wrong and that they knew it was wrong to end the life of the baby they were carrying, but they did not feel able to provide a life for this child. And they explained to me that one woman shared that her parents would kick her out of the house if she carried this baby to term and had the baby. Another girl said her boyfriend was going to break up with the apartment she was living in. And another woman said that she was working, but she didn't have anyone to watch her baby, or she wasn't able to pay for daycare, and so how would she be able to support the child? Each of these women saw abortion as an act of mercy to spare their children from a life of misery. I had resources I could refer them to, such as shelters and places that would provide material assistance, but each of these programs were designed to be short-term solutions, and none of them were designed to equip the women for the long-term self-sustainability that they needed to provide a life for their new families. While completing my master's degree in urban studies from Eastern University, I designed a program plan to better meet the needs of these women holistically and guide them on a path to self-sustainability. In the first phase of the program, women enter at any stage of pregnancy and are assessed academically and create a personal progress plan with short-term and long-term goals that they will continue to build on for the next 2.5 years. They are matched with both individual and family mentors and prepared to give birth to their children. Once they give birth, they begin the second phase of the program. In the second phase of the program, each woman completes a year's worth of life skills curriculum. These courses cover everything from nutrition and health to personal finance to security to parenting and child readiness. Once they complete the curriculum, they are ready to enter the third phase, which is full-time employment. Each woman will create a savings account so that they have startup money for when they complete the program. I'm really excited about establishing Expect Hope as an alternative to abortion in this community and the lifetime of opportunity it will provide to countless women. Thank you.
You've got a little bit of a bird's eye view of our executive director and her heart. Let me just give you a little bit of a background about why I'm here to talk about this. Well, number one, as you know, I was a missionary, and I still am a missionary. I'm located back in my native New York City. I'm born in the Bronx, like Emily, raised in the Bronx, but have been blessed of God to be able to go a lot of places and to see a lot of things. And one of our nation's biggest concerns and biggest issues today, actually it's kind of like got the country, either you're on this side or you're on that side, is abortion. We know that God is a God of life. Yes. And God promotes life. And he even said in John chapter 10, verse 10, that the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. But that Jesus, he said of himself, I come to give life, Amen. And that in abundance. Amen. When I initially went to mainland China, this is communist China, I was not ministering in Korea, I was ministering in mainland China, and was also based in Hong Kong, which is, one of my spiritual sons just called me 2 nights ago to tell me what's going on there. It's not pretty, but this is what happens when people go away from God's original design, yes. Away from God's original plan. Mm-hmm. And so, coming to the babies, when I first went to China, my whole thing was to evangelize, tell people the good news of Jesus. Of course, this was 3 years after they opened up China, because China was closed until 1982. And now I'm going to date myself because I went in 1985. So I've been privileged to see it come from like nothing, and to, if you go to China now, it's just like a booming place, so very different from what it was. However, there was a big problem. Even though I went there to evangelize and to share the gospel with people, about, I would say 11 and a half years into my time there, I began to hear the plight of the abandoned baby. Babies abandoned in train stations. Babies abandoned in bus stations. Babies abandoned on the roadside, no joke. And the Lord knew that if I saw something like that, I could not just leave it. And so eventually, the Lord had me start a work in a particular province, and I didn't necessarily try to get special needs babies, but in that province, because there was such a high rate of spina bifida, our home became a special needs home, but it was not just with spina bifida. Then fast forward, I'm back here now in the United States, and I'm wondering, what is all this abortion stuff? This is not mainland China. We know better. This is not communist China. So what is going on? And fast forward from that, somebody told Emily about yours truly, and then she invited me to be, and I'm one of the directors on the board. So basically, what is Expect Hope? It's exactly what the name implies. A place that offers hope, a safe haven to young women who, like she said, their parents are not involved. They found out that the child is pregnant. They're given an ultimatum. Either you abort this baby or you leave my home. The second one is this. The boyfriend was so involved, so enamored. Now all of a sudden he finds out that this woman is pregnant with his child. I'm gonna help you to take care of it. Take care of it. Take care of it does not mean take care of the baby. That's right. Take care of it in his term means get rid of the baby. But we know that this is not what God would intend, not what God has ordained. The Word of God tells us before we even were conceived in our mother's womb, God already knew us.
That's right.
So even before the father got together with the mother, whether it was willful or whether it was even the horrific case of rape or incest, God knew that child.
Yes.
And that child is not responsible for how he or she was conceived.
Amen.
So we believe and expect hope that no matter what the case, what the situation with the conception is, that child has a right to life.
Amen.
Amen? Amen. So I want you to now, we just had a banquet. I know some of you were at the banquet. I was so pleased to see some of you there. And we showed a video. I'd like to show you this video for those of you that were not able to be there and to see. I want you to hear from at least 2 of the young women. We have right now 5 young women in the home, and we just had a new baby since the banquet, so we have 3 babies and 2 to be born soon. I think the last one's going to be in March. We're packed to capacity. We really need some additional places so that we can take care of more young women and their babies. But I want you to hear from them, because there's nothing like actually hearing from the people that are benefiting from Expect Hope. So I want you to listen real good. One of them will be a Spanish speaker, but there will be English translation, and then the other one will be an English speaker. So enjoy this.
And I'm expecting my baby March 9th, 2020. And I'm maternity.
Mi nombre es Vivian, soy la mamá de Liliana. My baby tiene 2 meses.
When I first found out I was pregnant, I was feeling shocked and nervous. I was scared to be a mother. I was at the age of 19, I'm now 20. I was shocked.
Quise venir porque necesitaba darle un hogar seguro, limpio y saludable para mi hija.
When I first got into my room and I set up everything, I was a little scared for the future because I knew this was something new.
Cuando llegué a la casa, los sentimientos fueron muchos. Estaba sorprendida, muy feliz, me encantó la habitación y cuando vi esa cuna, me sentí muy feliz.
When I first came into the home, it was filled with genuine love and compassion and a lot of support. I was crying because I missed my family, but a lot of support.
Mi vida en este aspecto ha cambiado muchísimo. He aprendido a lidiar con mi hija independientemente. He aprendido a ser una mamá soltera, pero independiente, sola, luchando por mi hija.
And part of what I learned at Expect Hope he allowed me to have the second chance, and he allowed me to even be here, even at this very moment, to share my testimony and to share my story.
Mi relación hace 5 años, aquí ha sido muy buena, me han enseñado mucho, todo ha sido muy diferente, porque me he dado cuenta que mi vida sin Dios podía ser muy vacía y con Él me he sentido llena de corazón.
I'm very proud to be a mom now. He's a waymaker, and I just want to thank him for allowing me to be here and to bring me out of where he was calling from. And just be grateful to soon see my little one.
Mi lo favorito de la casa es que aquí tengo una familia, tengo hermanas, tengo sobrinos, tengo mamás y esto es todo para nuestra familia.
Okay, so like I said, since that has been last edited, we have 3 babies. 2 girls and a boy. So now that last, the mother with the short hair, she's going to soon get what we call a mentor family. A mentor family was just interviewed for her. So what does that mean? That means that she will be coupled with a beautiful husband and wife that have children. I think that family has 5 children. And then she'll come alongside of them. They'll spend time with her. They'll have meals together, they'll share together, she'll go and visit their home together, they'll, maybe sometimes she will go to their church together, and she will get to mirror what it is to be in a healthy family situation. Because at the end of the day, how many of these young women have ever been in a healthy family situation? Some of them have not. And some of them don't even know that that is possible. We also have another volunteer position that's called just a mentor, a single mentor. So you have one single young woman that's coupled with another single older woman. And she will just mentor her and pour love into her and, again, spend time with her. So if any of you are here and that you are prayerfully considering becoming a mentor, whether it's a single person or your whole family, we would welcome you to do that. Amen. We have several volunteer positions available, so you can always go onto our website, expecthope.org/volunteer, and you can see some of those things there. We do not make it mandatory for people to be necessarily of our faith or even a Christian or even believe in God to come into the program. The program is open to all who would be willing to submit to the rules and regulations, because of course we cannot have anarchy in a home. We cannot have everybody just doing whatever you want to do. That's just not going to work, because we want a safe place, a peaceful place, a nurturing place. So it's like that. At this time, does anybody have any questions for me right now? Yes.
Sister Pearl, is there any financial obligation that the young woman has to have to become part of Expect Hope?
Very good question. Thank you, Chaplain, for asking me that. No, there is not. Actually, she does not have to give us 1 Lincoln cent.
Amen.
We do not charge anything to the women. They can even, if they're still pregnant, maybe they're like 3 months pregnant or even 5 months where they have a job, they're working, they can go continue working. We will help them to teach them how to budget their money, save that money. It's all theirs. We will not take any money. We do not charge anything. So even if they leave us with, $5,000, it's all theirs. So that eventually, so our heart's desire is at the end of their stay, and that's another thing I want to share. From what I know right now, we're the only maternity home that is available to a woman to stay as long as 2 to 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. And why are we doing this? Because we really want to invest in that woman. We want to come alongside of them and share the love of God with them, share our hearts with them. We want to teach them how, if they're not work ready. We will help train them, help them to get their resume together, teach them how they should compose themselves in an interview, the whole nine. We'll even help them. The other important thing to know about Expect Hope is that we do not accept 1 cent from the government.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
We do not.
Yes.
We can praise God for that. That's good. We don't take any money. The reason why is obvious. Once you start taking government money, you have to start doing what the government wants you to do. And some of what they might want us to do will be conflicting with godly principles. Because first and foremost, even though we do not mandate that anybody become a Christian to enter the home, or even after they're there, you must be, of course not. We're not going to browbeat anybody to follow Christ. However, we follow Christ, and we're certainly going to share the love of Jesus with each woman that comes in the home. There's times that they're going to be having Bible study with us. They're going to be going to different churches. And if you want to see, I just want to give you an idea of what our home looks like. Here goes the cover.
Amen.
This is the home that we have. We do not give out the address for security reasons.
That's right.
And this did not look like that before we moved in, okay? It needed a lot of work. The home is about 100 years old, but we did a lot of heavy renovations to make it such a pleasing and a welcoming place for these women. This is our office where the case manager and the different people that have to work with them. And each woman has her own bedroom. This is not a shelter.
Beautiful.
It is not a flop house. It is not, we're going to put 5 women in the same room together. No, it's not like that. It is completely a residential home where the people are safe and secure. They're crib for their babies in their private room. It's like home. This is how come you saw one of the women, she just shed tears. Because she did not expect it to be like that. So, very good question. Thank you. Yes.
2 more questions.
Sure.
In terms of the fact that they do not have to provide any of the finances, how can people donate to Expect Hope? That's my first question. And then second, what are the age ranges of the young mothers that you consider?
Okay, good question. Okay, so the first thing is you can go online, expecthope.org, and you will see that we're going to have we're going to have a wish list, our wish list. You click on that, and it will open up a page to, I think it's Amazon, and it will let you know all the things that we do need, some of the things the mamas have asked for personally, and you can feel free to go there and to bless. We do not take, because we've learned from experience, so we do not take any used items. We don't. We learn the hard way. So the best thing is, and we don't even just say, oh, I want to drop some of my stuff from my house no, we're not doing that. So just go on Expect Hope, our wish list, and then you will be finding a link. Well, did I answer your second question?
Second question is, what are the age ranges?
Okay, so the ages are primarily from 18 till about 30, but I can tell you we've made exceptions. We've had to.
Right.
We've had to make exceptions. I can't really get into the depth of it, especially this is being recorded right now, but we have made exceptions. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to find with somebody that we have a room, she's younger than that, she's on the street, she got to get out by literally 5 o'clock. No.
I really commend the work that Expect Hope does, and as a pregnancy center CEO, there are no places to put our girls, and it's horrifying, horrifying. And so thank you for what you do. My question is, when will you be expanding and putting a home in Queens?
Okay.
I cannot do it, and I need you to do it.
Okay, thank you, Sister Jones. Thank you so much, and thank you for your encouragement. We really appreciate that. We love the networking. By the way, maybe now we can show the other one that my friend Ryan has for me, which is our resource. We never, if we can't take a young lady, we're never going to say, okay, we don't have any room, bye. We're going to make a referral. We're going to talk to her more, find out her situation, how we can service her, and if we can't take her, if we feel she's not a good fit for our home or we don't have space, we will refer her. So, I want you to see some of what, and see that first name up there? It's the Life Team New York. I'm a part of the Life Team. How many people here are part of the Life Team? Hope. There was the Life Team New York. Amen. Father Pilsner's here. He's with the Life Team. Chaplain Viviana is here. She's with the Life Team. Yours truly is here. I'm with the Life Team. And there's several others. And we would invite everybody to join us in the Life Team. Why? Because the Life Team is primarily grassroots believers that are coming together from different denominations, but we all love Jesus and we want to advance life. And as Father Pilsner has told us so many times, we want to go from just people being pro-life sympathetic to pro-life active.
Amen.
Okay, so this is the resource that we have at the Life Team, but also at Expect Hope, we also have our own resource list. And you can see Expect Hope is there, Good Counsel Homes is there, New Beginning Center of Hope is there. You're going to hear from Alicia Jones this afternoon. Lumina is a ministry that deals with women that have had abortions. So they need post-abortive healing. And there are ministries like that. Priests for Life, Avail. Avail is another pregnancy resource center. And then Sisters of Life is another place where people can get help. And even if they need housing, sometimes they can receive housing. They've called us already, and we've housed people that they couldn't, and vice versa. So these are all very important key things if you really are concerned about young women that need help in New York City that are pregnant.
Amen.
Any other questions? Are we good? Yes. Hi, Mike. It's so great to see you.
How are you? What's the maximum amount of women that you can house?
Right now, we're full. We have 5. We need more. And Alicia is so right. We are praying for more homes, like yesterday.
Yes.
Like yesterday. And also, let me just throw out, because we need more homes, we also need more staff.
Amen.
So if anybody, please, again, go on our website, expecthope.org. If you know of a young woman or even a young couple that they're interested to help us, please let them go on to our site, and I think it's in employment or jobs. I think it's employment. And please, because we need more staff as well. More staff, more homes, more money. Anybody else? So that's it for me today. I'm sure I'm going to sit down and remember 10,000 things that I should have told you. But if you're interested, I did bring some little booklets to let you know about how you can help us and how you can partner with us. You can see me for those. If you just want to take a look at our picture book, you can feel free to see that. I'll be happy to let you see that. I'm so happy that my daughter was a part of putting that together. My daughter was in college in Virginia. But so that's it. Expect Hope. And this is the heart of God. I believe, Alicia, you brought up an excellent thing. I wish that every church that really is Bible believing and loves God would get a heart for this.
Yes.
What you can do is to pray. If you just say, okay, I'm just one person, so what can I do? The first thing that I would encourage and challenge you to do is to begin praying.
Yes.
Pray, because God answers prayer.
Right.
I'm also the leader of 40 Days for Life in the Bronx, so I believe in praying. I cannot thrive, I cannot survive without praying. So pray first, go on to our website, and prayerfully consider what God might have you do.
Amen.
Yes.
When, say, a church feels like they would like to do pro-life support, I understand that Sister Alicia is supported by Bethel Gospel Tabernacle
And a few other churches.
And some
a few
other
other
churches.
Yeah.
So, what do you suggest to pastors or churches that would like to do something similar?
Invite us. Invite Emily. Emily's only one person, so she can't be going every place all the time. Invite us to come and we'll speak at your church. Churches. We have got it so good now. We can do 5 minutes. All you can give us is 5 minutes on a Sunday morning. We got it down pat. 5 minutes. Give us a table at the back. We're good to go.
Amen.
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 God bless you. God bless you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pearl. Thank you so much. Part of what you said reminded me of one of our first speakers last week. Stanley Richards, someone who was formerly incarcerated, lived in a community where all he saw was a certain lifestyle and he gravitated toward that lifestyle. So he was in prisons, but he was encouraged, and then his life turned around because someone showed him love and respect and who he could be. And it wouldn't have worked if he came out of prison and didn't have services and didn't have a comprehensive background to support him. So in what you said in your Expect Hope organization, it's an all-inclusive, it's a comprehensive format where a person is going to get more than a talk, more than a prayer, more than some clothes, more than diapers and things like that. They're going to get a holistic approach to how to move forward and make the best possible choices for them and their baby.
Amen.
So I want to thank you for that, because when I was growing up, you know, I was surrounded by my environment, and I lived my life based on my environment. I see this is what I do. I see that, that's what I do. Movies, TV, all of those things affect our decisions. And so because our environment is not holistic, it doesn't provide all the opportunities, and our environments, some of our environments don't allow us to enjoy the same things that others enjoy, we get caught up. So I thank you for that, because it's really about a holistic approach to these really, really tough issues. So with that said, we have our next speaker, which is Father Peter Pilsner, and he's a director and spiritual activist at Cardinal Spellman High School in the Bronx. Father Pilsner earned his Bachelor of Arts degree at Gainan University in Pennsylvania, Master of Divinities at St. Joseph Seminary in New York. He served in 2 parishes in Staten Island before coming to Cardinal Spellman. Since 1997, Father Pilsner has served as a chaplain to the Sisters of Life, a congregation of women who take a special vow to protect and enhance the sacredness of life. Finally, he is a founding member of New York Life Team, a dedicated group of grassroots Christian leaders from various denominations who gather together to collaborate and advance the culture of life in our communities.
Amen.
I wanted to be respectful of time, so I actually wrote out my talk this morning. I hope it's what you're asking for. If not, I can maybe expand in different ways. Among the many areas of the pro-life issues that we address, there's one that is often overlooked. That is healing for women who have had abortions. Some in the pro-life movement seem to think, and I say to my shame, I was once one of them, that paying attention to the suffering of women too much takes attention away from the core injustice of abortion, the loss of life of an innocent child. However, with time and with the blessing of being included in the ministry of the Sisters of Life and post-abortion healing, I came to see that the two issues are deeply connected, because a mother and child are deeply connected.
Amen.
Helping unborn children means helping women. Helping women is helping unborn children. In politics and the media, the issue of abortion has been locked in the same superficial confrontation for over 50 years. One side supposedly says, you don't care about babies. The other side says, you don't care about women. If we allow the media and politics to keep the issue locked in this duality, we will never make progress. We need to make people understand that the pro-life movement is as serious about helping women as we are about protecting unborn children.
Amen.
Many pro-life people have for years worked and suffered out of a serious commitment to help women and unborn children together. I personally take offense when pro-choice people say that those who are pro-life care only about fetuses, not about women. It is an insult to all the amazing people in the pro-life movement, such as Alicia Jones and Corbin, who have sacrificed for women and served them for many years. But there are other people, even those who say they are sympathetic to the pro-life position, who cling to a very harmful idea. They think that abortion, in some sense, takes a life. They say it is sometimes a necessary, regrettable evil, because overall, abortion might help a particular woman have a better life. As long as people have this idea, they will never fully embrace the cause of life. They will feel that they have no business fighting to close an abortion clinic because who knows, a particular woman in a bad situation might be really helped by an abortion, and therefore not letting her get one could force her into a life of greater suffering. The alternative to this point of view is to embrace the truth that each abortion, without exception, makes a woman's life worse, not better. But how do we really know this? It is possible to make a case scientifically, but this has limits. As you might say, if you live by the studies, you die by the studies. You could show studies that many women suffer grief after abortion, but pro-choice people will show other studies with the opposite conclusion. Perhaps, and I do believe these other studies are methodologically weaker, but people listening to pro-abortion people cite them will not know that. They will still wonder, what about women who don't suffer grief? Why not allow abortions for them? However, there is one dimension of abortion in which you can truly say that it makes a woman's life worse without exception every time, and it is the spiritual dimension. Think about the abortion decision from the spiritual point of view. This goes deeper than science. It touches the root of our humanity. It has to do with the turning of the heart to God or away from Him. The woman who chooses abortion has been in a situation in which she, on some level, has been aware of the following. First, that she is carrying a child. According to Dr. Priscilla Coleman, 50% of pregnant women who have abortions believe they are carrying a child. Second, of course, then she knows she's carrying her child. There is a natural joy about motherhood. As soon as a woman knows she's pregnant, it's natural for her to feel a mother-child bond. And third, generally, women know that abortion is wrong. According to a study by Dr. David Reardon, 70% of women who had abortions believed at the time of their abortion that abortion was wrong. So why did they have abortions? Because everything positive about bearing life at that time was overshadowed by fear. Fear of what it would mean to bring the child to birth. Fear of the challenges of parenting. Fear of her parents, or fear of the father of the child. Fear of her dreams about her future getting blown up. That is a lot of fear, and the fear is real. It is stronger for them than the fear of the abortion and stronger than the potential joy of motherhood. How common it is to hear a woman say the following about getting an abortion. Quote, "I know it is wrong, but God will have to forgive me because He knows I have no other choice." Think of how powerful fear must be to bring a woman to the point of saying that. In the presence of this fear, the woman is faced with a powerful temptation. A short surgical procedure will make her unpregnant, turn back the clock to the time before she got pregnant, Just a short procedure, and all will be well. Do we not hear the echoes of the first temptation in the garden, where the devil said, "You certainly will not die"? No, God knows well that the moment you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like gods who know what is good and what is bad. It's always different versions of the same temptation. You will not die. Nothing bad is going to happen. You'll be fine. Things will be so much better after you get through this. So the woman goes through this short procedure, and quite often she feels an initial sense of relief. But solving this one problem creates new problems, one of which concerns us in particular, what you might call the mirror problem. Reconciling the good person she wants to see in the mirror every morning with the truth of what she did. On the one hand, she tells herself she had no other choice, but on the other hand, reality keeps breaking through. She misses her baby, and she knows that good people don't take life. Thus, she begins to feel guilt, and she does not see a path to resolving it. Now the devil has her firmly in his grip. Whereas before the abortion, his tactic was to minimize the evil. This is nothing, just a little procedure, and it will be over. Now the devil tries to maximize the evil and drive her to despair. You murderer, what kind of monster kills her own baby? God could never forgive what you did. The devil has a field day with this guilt, using it to destroy everything good in her life. It manifests in different women in different ways. Women may choose to be with or stay with a toxic man. Why? Because she does not deserve a good man after what she did. Or if she has a good man or a good husband, she hides the secret from him. We all know how toxic secrets can be. She may be afraid he will leave her that he will leave her if he finds out. And then sometimes she will have difficulty bonding with future children. She may feel she does not deserve to enjoy motherhood. She fears for her other pregnancies. Maybe God will inflict a birth defect on her child to punish her for her abortion. This image was part of a photo essay from a photographer who was listening to experiences of women after abortion. This first one, you notice, carrying the empty cradle on her back. The weight and pain of this guilt is far worse than any challenge in dealing with an unplanned pregnancy. It would truly be hard placing her child with a family in an adoption plan, but at least she could be grateful and proud of herself of making such a noble and courageous choice. Parenting would also be hard, but she would then have the joy of seeing her baby's face on the worst of days. The guilt of abortion is long, hard, and empty. In view of this very human suffering, the abortion is never worth it. But I am here not just to talk about the pain and guilt of abortion. I want to talk about hope, and I want to talk about the churches.
Amen.
First, there is hope. Women who suffer from their abortions are in our churches. Dean Nelson has done an excellent job in showing this. How long are we going to let them suffer? How long will we fail to acknowledge their pain? When will we proclaim to them the good news to the poor, freedom to the captive, a year of favor from the Lord?
Yes.
We are the church. Guilt and redemption is our area of expertise. Not because we know psychology, but because we know Jesus Christ.
Amen.
There are already many well-tested programs to help women who suffer from abortion to find hope and healing. I'll be followed by my friend and goddaughter, Erica, who made this journey. Please listen to her story of hope.
Amen.
Second, I believe that understanding the spiritual suffering of women will bring the churches to find a new passion to fight for the unborn. It will break them of the crippling chain, the lingering fear that maybe fighting against abortion is fighting against women, or at least against some women. To the contrary, understanding the spiritual suffering of women will make it clear that fighting abortion is fighting for women. Further, understanding the spiritual suffering of women leads us to a deeper appreciation of the lives of the unborn. Yes, we value their lives, but no one values their lives more than their mothers. No one grieves the loss of unborn children more than their mothers. No one misses them more than their mothers. If we can see the unborn through the eyes of the women who regret their abortions, we will never think of the loss of unborn life like a statistic, though we might cite helpful statistics. We will realize that each one of the nearly 1 million killed every year is precious and would have brought joy to his or her mother and to so many others. Amen. We want to fight to save them and to spare their mothers the pain of losing them.
So on the heels of that, I want to do a quick little exercise. I want to hand these out, and I want you to take 2 pieces of paper. And one of them is going to be, I want you to write in one word what you feel drives a person, male or female, to want to interrupt the life of a child. And then on the other piece of paper, I would like you to write in one word on what the solution, like how can we help someone who is considering abortion, okay? So I just want to just take 2 pieces and take 2 pieces. Is this the Marcia repeat? Thank you, Marcia. Repeat your question. Okay, so what was the question then? Okay, so the question was, so this is what, just in one word, write what you feel would drive a man or woman to want to end the life of their child. And then I want you to write on the other piece of paper what you feel would be a solution to that. We want to just really consider all the avenues that put us in positions where we feel that it's okay to take another life. Sometimes it seems like we're desensitized to violence. It's like we compartmentalize what violence is. We compartmentalize the fact that if I'm doing it, it really can't be a bad thing because I'm a really good person. And so we compartmentalize the fact that this is a personal decision and nobody else is being harmed, and we totally negate that there's a life. And I get it because I did it too. I negated that there was a life inside of me in one area, but in the back of my mind, I knew that it was. And I think that's why we move with urgency. We take that situation and we move quickly to the solution, so that we don't change our mind. Saw another TV show the other day. I like cop shows. And so this one I think was Chicago PD. So one of the detectives, a lot of people getting pregnant on TV these days.
On Channel 4.
You know, so these are like major stars. Even the woman from Friends, she's like 50 years old and she's pregnant. Yeah. So, but she's pregnant. She's pregnant. That's right. So this particular cop, she found out because she got hurt and she went to the doctor for an exam, and the doctor said, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, and by the way, you're pregnant. Congratulations. So she was shocked. So her first reaction was, I don't want to miss out on anything.
Yes.
I got my career, I like this excitement of being a cop. So her boyfriend was like, whatever you want to do. I could see it in his face. He's like, I know I don't have any pull here, so I have to go with the flow. So whatever you want to do, I'm with you. So couple of minutes later, like the next day, so she told him, I'm gonna make the appointment in the morning to get rid of it. So he's like, I'll be with you. So then the day went on, the next day came, and then she had interacted with a woman who had been kidnapped, had a child by rape. They found her kidnapper, found the baby boy, because the kidnapper had abducted the son. The son was about 7 years old. And so she's in the hospital with the woman after they find the son. They had found the woman first, and the son was diabetic. And the father didn't know how to care for the son, so she was frantic. So she was, somehow or another, they were able to find her son. So they found her son. He was almost in a diabetic shock. They found him. So they're reunited. The detective is looking, and the woman is like, that's my son, that's my son. She was like really, just really, really happy. The woman, the detective, couldn't, she was like, you was kidnapped, raped, and had another woman in there doing the same thing to her. Bizarre. The woman, so then she said, the woman just turned to the detective and said, I know you don't understand this, you probably won't understand this, but my son, Billy, is the best thing that ever happened to me, regardless of how he got here. Amen. The love I have for my son is beyond, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Amen. If I could do it all over again, if I could have my son, I would do it again. I mean, it would just be what it is. And so the detective was like, The next day, she canceled the appointment. Hallelujah. Told her boyfriend. The boyfriend thought she was gonna, was like, okay, we finished. So he said, so where we at? She said, no, I canceled the appointment. Saying that to say, sometimes we need a minute to just fall back, just dial it back and just wait a minute and just think for a minute. Just talk to somebody, not just the one who's on you in your glee club of, yeah, kill it. You got a life and, it's gonna interrupt your life. No, get a balance of opinions. Get a balance of voices. So the next day, this detective was like, she was laying on the bench and the boyfriend was just standing over her. And she said, I don't want to miss out on this love, on this motherhood. And I thought that was like, that's what I'm talking about. Just take a minute. Sometimes we have to help people just breathe and take a minute and just think. Just slow it down. Just for a day, for 2 days. And what a difference a day makes. Amen. So with that said, I'm going to introduce Mike Sweeney. He's a biker for life, yes! So check this out. I met Mike after I had a Bible study with some elders at my church. And a question was asked to me, what are you supposed to be doing for God that you not doing, but you know you're supposed to be doing? So I said, I know I'm supposed to be working with young people regarding abortion and so forth. She said, oh, by the way, there's a training tomorrow down at Bleecker Street on blah, 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 blah. On, talking to women, giving them information about abortion. I was like, okay, I humbled myself. I said, okay, now I cannot have any more excuses. I had to step into what God was definitely working on my heart with. So I got down to Bleecker Street, and this big, tall dude was there, kind of rough and rugged and everything. I said, okay. And just the heart of someone, the caring and the heart of this person, I was like, okay. If this guy trains me, I can do this. And he trained me on how to love people where they are, give them information, and ask them to maybe even wait a day. Ask them to talk to somebody else. And we call them turnarounds. And I have never personally had a turnaround. I've had people who have listened, got the information. I don't know if they left the clinic after we talked, but I know that there are so many people who have been given information, and a lot of them have changed their mind. They left those facilities and went and either to the Sisters of Life or went to some other organization and got the help that they needed to continue the life of their child. So with that said, I want to ask Mike Sweeney to just come and say a few words about his experience on the street and some of the success stories, some of the ones that you'll never, ever, ever forget of how, you know, God just moved on the street there, and how it's just a really great environment and field to do volunteer work in. Thank you.
My name is Michael with Pro Bikers for Life. Marcia, thank you for inviting me. Welcome to my fellow counselors, Ryan, right here, counselor, sidewalk counselor, and my wife, Colette, in the back, fellow sidewalk counselor. And we've been counseling, Colette and I, 10 years, pretty much at Bleecker Street. A little something about myself. I grew up in Queens, but when I was 20 years old, I became a New York City police officer, and I actually patrolled this area. So
Wow.
I love this area. I have great people in this area, a lot of people with good hearts. I used to walk a foot post, the kids, hello police. Had such good times up here, and I missed it. I went to Manhattan after that. And so I did 20 years in the New York City Police Department. I retired. I went to school. I said, okay, I'm going to go into the private security, get rich, everything to that effect. But God had other plans.
Yes, he did.
Thank you. And what he said was, okay, I actually talked to a woman at my church, and I said, listen, I'm retired. And at the time I was pro-life. I sent my $20 to the National Right to Life, and that was good. That, that satisfied myself.
I hear you.
So I talked to a woman one time who worked at a pregnancy center, and I said, listen, if there's ever an opening, let me know. I'm interested maybe, if they have something going on. It was just in passing. 3 weeks later, she said, they have an opening, a men's ministry. And I was like, all right, I'll go for the interview. I went to the interview. The woman who was the executive director interviewed me, and after the interview, she went like this, she said, why did the Holy Spirit send you to me today? And I sat there and I did one of these in my mind, I said, Holy Spirit, I don't know. I'm going, I'm just here for an interview. So she didn't give me a choice. She said, I'm putting you for, I don't know about if this is going to open up, if we're going to get the grant for this ministry, but I'm going to put you into training next week. And I was like, all right, in my mind again, I'm like, all right, I'll go to the training. I went home, I told Colette what happened, I just described to you. And I said, I'm going to go to this training, see what happens, but that's it. Well, I went to that training, and shame on me, I didn't know much about abortion. I sat down, the first 5 minutes, they showed me what an abortion was and the development of that baby. I didn't know a baby had a heartbeat at 18 days.
Yes.
And I said, the words came into my mind, I was getting choked up, I said, not on my watch. I don't forget that, I said, not on my watch. I cannot sit back and let this happen. So that's going on, but then again, eventually that didn't open up, but then they said to me, actually, you're going to actually counsel men when they come in with their girlfriends. And I went, no way, what am I going to say to these women? Men, what am I going to say? How do I talk about? But you know what, I went to the Witness down in Manhattan, which by the way is every first Saturday at 8 a.m. I went to a Witness. I started praying across for the Planned Parenthood. And one day I saw these guys on motorcycles show up, leather jackets. They show up, I'm praying across the street. And I said, oh no, these guys, what are they going to do? Because they did look, I don't know if Tom Upshur, if anybody knows Tom Upshur, he's this big, he's a Marine, he's not an ex-Marine, as we know, once a Marine, always a Marine. Ponytail, the whole 9 yards. And I'm saying, man, they take out the Sister of Life pamphlets, and they start sidewalk counseling, and I'm like, what? What do you say to these people? How do you change, in the middle of New York City, how do you change a woman's mind who's going in to have an abortion? And, you know, eventually I got to know them, everything to that effect, and I became a pro-biker for life. So that's the first part of the story. The second part of the story is, again, I went up to them, I should say, and I started saying, well, can I sign? You know, it was after about 6 months after I got up the courage, I asked them, can I start counseling? And they said, no problem, and I started counseling. So what I'd like to tell you is, like, how do you talk to a woman, and then please, after this, if you're ever interested in sidewalk counseling, let me know, and we can talk about that a little later. How do you change a woman's mind? And I can tell you this, all glory and honor to God. It's the Holy Spirit, because there's no way on a street corner in New York City is a woman going to listen to you know, a 54-year-old man standing on the corner and saying, don't have an abortion. That's all God. And that's my prayer beforehand. You know, I always ask God, please give me the strength and what have you, but let that woman be open to the Holy Spirit. So I'll start off by a story. Women, right off the bat, the first thing they need is help, 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 help. I can't say that enough. One time, this woman was walking out of the subway, another sidewalk counselor by the name of Nancy, who's bilingual. A Hispanic woman is walking out of the subway, and she says to her, again, this is in Spanish, they're talking, she says, do you need help? She said, yeah, well, no, you know, she explained that, I should say Nancy explained that she was a counselor and she could help her if she's having an abortion. The woman said, well, what's happening is, and we don't judge. This is very important, because I have no idea what situation that woman is in. Right? So there's no judgment. And I'll give you, this is the prime example. The woman said, well, what happened is, my husband who beats me told me if I don't get an abortion, he will beat me more and kick me out of the house. So what did we do? We called the Sisters of Life. That's why I'm so happy. It means they're amazing, right? I mean, so we called, she called the Sisters of Life, and what happened, we were able to get the woman housed for domestic violence. You know, one of those shelters that private, I don't know what would be the terminology, but you know, private shelters where nobody knows where it is. They got her an order.
Safe house.
Safe house, thank you. They were able to get her an order of protection, everything to that effect, and we were able to get her counseling. And she had the baby. So that's, like I said, that's what we're all about. So how do you, again, how do you counsel a woman? Again, what you say is, as she approaches the clinic, all you say is, hi, do you need, are you pregnant and do you need help? And the woman, they don't want to go in. A lot of them don't want to go in. They want to hear that word, help. And what we do is we tell them about what the Sisters of Life offer. They offer the housing, schooling, medical, legal, right off the bat. The number one thing I find is housing. I've had a woman walk by, you know, I'll say, oh, you pregnant, you need help, and they ignore me. Then I say, we help with housing, and they'll stop, and they'll turn around. So that's the first thing we talk about. The second thing we talk about is the development of the baby. Believe it or not, a lot of these women do not realize how developed their baby is. That the baby has heartbeat at 18 days. And technology is great. So basically what we do, once you get a nice little conversation going and everything to that effect, we take out the phone. There's a great app called See Baby.
Wow. Baby, S-E-E?
Yeah, exactly. See Baby. It's an app, right, Colette? See Baby? And I would just say, I'll say to them, well, how many weeks are you pregnant? Normally, 8 to 10 weeks to that effect. We take out the phone and I say, well, let me show you something beautiful. And let me just get it going.
Yes.
He begins to move spontaneously and reflexively. Movement is necessary to promote normal development.
Now, if you can see it, but basically it shows in this video the heartbeat. You can actually see the heartbeat to that effect. And again, that goes up to 36 weeks. So if she says she's 10 weeks, 12 weeks, Planned Parenthood down there does abortions up to 6 months. We show them 24 weeks. The next thing that we'll talk about is the abortion itself. I said, well, are you familiar with the procedure? Now, I don't know about you, but if you ever go into the hospital, you research, right? I don't know about you. If you're gonna have a knee surgery, the doctor sits down. It amazes me still to this day, after 10 years, the women don't, they don't realize what the procedure entails. First, the first trimester, it's, the vacuum. They go with the vacuum, that's again, and the second one is the laminaria sticks. And again, I don't want to get into detail. You can look that up. They're not familiar with it. There's another website that we have. It's called abortionprocedure.com. I'm not going to show it to you now, but it's a non-graphic description of what the abortion is about. You can look that up yourself. It's a former abortionist that describes the abortion from the first trimester, the second trimester, and taking the abortion pill. Once people see that, and especially, and men too, we counsel the men too, a lot of them see that and say, wow, I didn't know that, to that effect. So that helps change their mind. Then we go into, Erica, see you said Erica, right? I'm sorry. Erica brought it up, the guilt and regret involved. So the first thing we talk about is the help that's available, second thing, development of the baby. Third thing we talk about is the abortion procedure. The fourth thing we talk about is, once again, the guilt and regret associated with abortion. And basically, what I say, and I expand on this, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I could spend an hour and a half here describing what we do. But the next part, again, the guilt and regret. And basically what I'll say to the woman is, God created you to give life, he said, and that's as natural as anything for a woman. A woman taking life is unnatural.
That's right.
And I always say, God always forgives, man sometimes forgives, nature never forgives. And that guilt and regret carries it with you until you have to heal it, and to that effect. And the fifth thing that we talk about is God. We don't start off saying, about talking about God, because if you go up and say, have you heard the good news? You're in the middle of New York City street, to that effect. But that conversation we just had, that woman realizes, and it is done out of love and concern. They see that they're trying to, it's not Times Square, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you something to that effect. They realize we're being sincere. So after that 15, 20, basically what I'll tell people is, once again, what I just said. I'll say, listen, are you a believer? Because you have to ask. There might be an atheist. Are you a believer? Do you believe in God? They said, yes. I said, did you ask God for help? She said, yeah, well, I said a prayer, I asked for help. I always go like this sometimes, I'll go like this. I said, I'm a fellow believer. I said, this is an answer to your prayer. You're 15 feet from front of an abortion, 15 feet from the doors of an abortion clinic. A fellow believer has come up to you and said, there's a better way. God has answered your question. And what sometimes people used to say is, I used to say, do you ask God for help? No, I didn't. So now what do you say? I remember used to say, but now God, the Holy Spirit gives you the answer. Well, God loves you so much you didn't have to ask. That was the Holy Spirit, and they did that. So basically, that's the sidewalk counseling way we go about sidewalk counseling to that effect. Once again, I could spend an hour and a half going into more detail and everything to that effect. The last story, and it's funny, it's amazing how God really, I just want to end this with the story. It's amazing how God uses every situation, and you wouldn't even, I'll give you an example. Anyway, so one day, first of all, I have to tell you about Francine. Francine, again, when you're down there for 10 years on a corner, people stop to get to know you and everything to that effect. So Francine, I got to know Francine. She was an ex-alcoholic. She was into drugs. She had been a nurse, everything to that effect. And she had an abortion when she was 17. And she had explained to me, that's how I got into the drugs, to ease the pain, everything to that effect. So just remember Francine. So one day I'm sidewalk counseling. This guy parks the car up the corner by the Sheen Center. That's about a half block up. He gets out of the car, he starts walking down, and as he walks down, he observes, I'm on the corner, I should say. As he walks down, there's a woman across the street named Marianne who holds up a sign that states, "Pray to end abortion." I could spend a half hour on Marianne. We call her Rocky. Could you imagine, just on the side note, in the middle of Soho, on a street corner, holding up Soho, leftist, liberal,
Yes.
very, I don't want to say pro-choice, pro-abortion.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
holds up a sign for 2 hours every Thursday and Saturday. She gets abuse. We call her Rocky. That being said, he's walking down the street with his girlfriend. He sees Rocky across the street. He starts yelling at her. What do you know? Screaming at her. And I was about to take a step toward him to counsel, but I did one of these. I said, I'm not going to go near this guy. He's going to take my head off. So he goes inside. 20 minutes later, he walks out, and he walks up to his car again with his girlfriend, I should mention. In the meantime, Francine walks by, just like that. She doesn't know what's going on. She walks past me, and as she gets parallel with this guy's car, she turns around and yells at me, tell the people not to have abortions. Keep on telling them. Opportunity presents itself now, right? I said, we're trying to help them. And with that, he says to me, yeah, like what? So I said, oh, I started walking toward him slowly. Oh, we help, with housing, school. And we got into a conversation. He calmed down, everything to that effect. And he explained that what was the wife had?
Oh.
Right. And they wanted to abort the baby, to that effect. Planned Parenthood, the baby was 25 weeks. Planned Parenthood does the abortions up to 24 weeks. They were going to go to Maryland, I believe he said Maryland, where they do abortions up to 28 weeks, or something to that effect. They were going to go through with the abortion. Who did I call? The Sisters of Life. So we called the Sisters of Life. They got on the phone. They got a great conversation. In the end, they decided to go take the car, went up to the Sisters of Life. They sat down. They were there for 6 hours. He eventually came back to the church, Catholic church, baptized. His wife got baptized. The baby was born. Baptized. Oh, they were at the time living together, and they got married.
Oh my goodness.
So
Full circle.
that maybe the Holy Spirit had something to do with that. I don't know. But what was the odds that she would walk by, say that, everything to that effect? So that's what I'm trying to say. It's so I could send, and Marcia, we could spend hours here telling you story after story how the Holy Spirit, how it just intertwines and everything, if the person is open to it. That's the most important part. And so if anybody here wants a sidewalk counsel, again, we can talk afterwards, but we'll bring you down there. You observe a little 2-second story with that. You'd go down, you would just observe for like 3 different days to that effect. And then if you feel comfortable, you would start sidewalk counseling and to that effect. So, any questions or yes?
For those who are watching by video, how do you contact those who trained you?
Well, what I would do is call the Sisters of Life
Sisters of Life.
at 212-737-0221 and just say you want to get in touch with Michael, the sidewalk counselor.
Could you repeat that, please?
212-737-0220. Or 221, I got to double check.
Mike is gonna keep you there for about another 2 minutes, and we're gonna go in.
But just look up the Sisters of Life. It's all on the, you're on the internet. You can get the number there to that effect.
I don't have a question for you. I just want to, because you probably wouldn't say it. I heard about you through Ryan,
Oh,
and he just speaks your praises.
oh, thank you.
And I think what's good for people to understand is that, like you said, it's like the Holy Spirit tells you. Yes, you get prepared, but there's nothing like on the job too. You're never going to feel completely ready. That's my point. And he just says that you're just so anointed when you speak to people. You have that love, that lack of judgment. I think some people don't have that, and I get it because it makes me angry when I think about it.
Yeah.
But it's something that you kind of do on purpose, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and think it through and reflect on it and do it in a way that really brings results.
So, yeah, no, I
So God
appreciate
bless
that.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Amen.
I appreciate it. Thank you for,
What would you say to other men? Because one of the things that happens is this is top-heavy women. what would you say to other men if they wanted to try to sidewalk counsel or even get involved in this whole pro-life movement?
Well, what happens a lot of times is, and again, Erica, that was a great talk. I keep on referring to what you said, and how Pilsner came through as a man. And what I'm trying to say there is a lot of the women, they will walk past, like there'll be a counselor down by the subway, but then they'll see a man counseling, and they will stop for the man. And the reason being is, a lot of the women don't have a man in their life. Mm-hmm. And when a woman sees that man there, you know, confident, to what have you, and it talks about the dignity of the human life, and about just being there, just that presence, you know, that's to that effect. That's helpful. So what I'm trying to say is we do need men to sidewalk counsel.
Amen.
Because they need, once again, they're on that, some of the women need to have strong men in their lives, and they're attracted to that strong man. So, any other questions? Yes.
I'm a social worker and I work in an elementary school. And one of the parents of one of the kids that I work with, she recently had an abortion. And I see how that, she is a Christian, so there's a lot of guilt and shame and so forth. And I see how it's affecting the young girl. Mom also has a lot of other background history and a lot of other reasons why she hasn't sought counseling. So I'm just wondering if you know, anyone in this room knows of resources that she could receive counseling. It sounds like Sisters for Life, but okay.
There's others too. Yeah,
okay.
And we have.
Okay, please.
Posted word with who will help with hope and healing.
Okay.
It depends what borough she's in.
I'm sorry to hear that too. I mean, it's such, I always say it's such one big lie. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I always say, you were talking about the evil one earlier, the devil. You know, what he does is, and I had a woman down there, again, she kept on saying, oh God, this is all right, it's everything to that effect. And we got into the talk, but I always go, you know, the devil does one of these, and then he does one of these. Mm-hmm. He says he's going like this right now. He's pointing like, well, you know, this is why I'm having an abortion. She was blaming people, everything to that effect. But after the abortion, he's going to do this to you. Mm-hmm. So you're the one. You're the one.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right. When I started sidewalk abortion, or even considered sidewalk abortion in North Carolina, I was terrified that I'd get attacked. Do you ever send anyone out there all by themselves to do sidewalk counseling? If they're new?
Right, no, you definitely would not, especially as a new, it's always recommended you sidewalk counsel in pairs.
Exactly, amen.
So that's just for your protection. 10 years, once again, I've never physically been attacked. Some people, again, you're in Lower Manhattan. I mean, that's just pure, I mean, you know, they're pro-abortion. I don't want to, again, they're not pro-choice, they're pro-abortion. So you get some comments, and you know what you say back? God bless you, have a good day. And I can tell you, that was in the beginning. And they know my wife and I are down there. They don't see anything anymore. Hardly get any comments or anything anymore. Initially, yeah, debate. Again, if you were down there, especially a woman and a woman of color, very much needed down there. The majority of women going in there, I would say 99%, Hispanic and African American.
That's right.
You know, and we all know who founded Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger.
That's right.
And they have we stand there, right above us is a street corner named for Margaret Sanger, the woman who, she didn't ask, because I get into conversations down there, she didn't ask to speak at KKK rally. They asked her. Who gets asked to speak at a KKK rally?
Margaret Sanger.
So I talked to men down there, actually, a little side note. I have these cards that I hand out, who is Margaret Sanger, and I have great conversations with a lot of African American men that are walking by. I start a conversation, and they're shocked. They don't teach you that in the schools, you know?
Last question, please.
So with the training, do you do this like as needed, or do you have some kind of schedule?
I go down once a week, depends. I mean, again, we can talk afterwards what day and everything to that effect. We'll go down there once, maybe even twice a week to that effect. So again, afterwards, we can talk about the days and the hours. It's usually in the morning, to that effect. But Ryan is there, on Saturday and to that effect, so. Yeah, thank you.
One of the things that I just wanted to add when I first met Mike, and he was saying that predominantly there's a lot of African Americans going into Planned Parenthood. And so the first time I was down there, the first time I came or the second time I came, I'm walking down the street. This is a couple of years ago. I'm walking down the street, and so these people actually held the door open for me as if I was coming in to partake in an abortion service or get some kind of service from Planned Parenthood. On one hand, I was like, okay, I still look like I'm in childbearing age, so that's good. But the other thing was like, I was totally targeted. Wow. Totally targeted. And then I got insulted. I was like, wait a minute. How dare you just assume I'm coming into your facility? Okay? Yeah. So another thing I wanted to share is that Mike was like, he had said to me, there's predominantly African Americans, and then he had made a comment. He said, I don't know that these women, what a white guy would say to a black woman or a black person, or something to that effect. Like, how can I influence them? And so I said to Mike, and he never forgot, I'm surprised you didn't say it. I said, Mike, never underestimate the power of your whiteness. Because, at the end of the day, you're down there trying to save lives. You're down there trying to save lives, and then the fact that, the male figure, that's important too. But the bottom line is that people know truth, and people know who's in their corner, and people know when they're trying to get snowed, and somebody's trying to blow gas, or whatever the term is, gaslight them, whatever the term is. People know when someone's out to deceive them to an extent. Yes. And I have to say that because if we knew all the decades of language manipulation and all the decades of the outcomes of these women's rights and women's health and all of these issues, if we knew the outcome of all of that, we would see beyond the words. And we would see that at the end of the day, our numbers are dwindling. Please look at the video from last week, because we had a presenter that gave us stats, years, and how we are so underpopulating that we're basically genociding our own selves. We're literally, because we're so busy focused on rights. We're fighting so hard for these rights, and we all know that there have been rights established in our legislation, that were right to hang people, a right to have slaves, a right for this and right for that. So with that said, there's a lot of rights that are out here that are not good. They can be detrimental. And we have to really try to connect the dots and see that we are the ones who are suffering. That's true. Right? And our numbers are depleting. There's a language that it sounds nice. One of the presenters, he gave an illustration of the frog in the pot, of how you could put a frog in warm water and then heat it up slowly, and then he won't jump out. He'll just get comfortable with the heat and just deal with it. So that's sort of like where we are too. But what I look at our system as the Pied Piper. Play a nice song, sing a nice song, have a little bit of music going, and people will follow you into a dungeon. And so we have followed this system into a dungeon, whereas we are depleting ourselves literally.
That's right.
And it can no longer be a best kept secret. So I'm here to tell you that there's research, there's information out there. So I want to do two things real quick, and then I'm going to introduce the next speaker. The papers that you wrote, the question was, what do you think drives a woman to have an abortion, a man or woman to end the life of their child? To write that down, and I want you in less than a minute to just put it on this side of the board. Just come up and put the paper real quick, and we're gonna put it on this side of the board. What do you think?
On there.
Hmm?
The PowerPoint will be on there.
I got that.
Okay.
So let's drive you on the right.
Yeah, so let's do on this board right here.
Yeah.
Okay, really quick, because we drive less than an hour. We have less than an hour. Just write it over here. Just put it over here. And then the other paper, put it on that side. The solutions we're gonna put on this side. Put your solutions over here. And put your, what do you think the problems are over there? Solutions and problems. That must be mine.
It is.
Okay, those are the issues you believe that drive a person to have an abortion. Did I screw that up? Okay.
That's right.
Thank God, exactly. You take some of those out of it.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it?
Okay. Solutions. What are the problems that you think would drive a person? Okay, cool. We're gonna come back to that at the end. And I want you to get your pens ready because I want to give you some websites that you can look at and you can get some information that'll kind of bring you up to speed on this particular issue. So my next speaker, so I met her a few years ago, and she was talking about how someone sort of put her on the spot. She was someplace, and someone from another state or country or something said to her, why are y'all New Yorkers killing all your babies? Yes, I'm gonna repeat that. Someone said to her, how come all y'all people in New York, y'all killing all your babies? What's going on? And I never, ever heard that. Ever. And I was like, what? Someone who's not from here asked you, why are all your people killing your babies? And she's gonna elaborate on that. So this is Alicia Jones, right? And she chose nursing as a profession and has been a registered nurse in the state of New York for the past 29 years. Okay, Ms. Jones served as the Assistant Director of Nursing of Pediatrics and Adolescents Health at Elmhurst Hospital and a Nurse Manager for Pediatrics and Women's Health at William R. Ryan Community Health Center. Ms. Jones has a deep passion to bring a culture of life back to New York City, believing that conception begins in the mind of God. She has joined forces with the leadership of laity of her church, as well as other pro-life leaders throughout New York City, to bring God's truth, life, love, and professional practice to help individuals grappling with decisions regarding unplanned pregnancy. As the founder of New Beginnings Center of Hope several years ago, Ms. Jones's desire to galvanize Christians and people of all walks throughout our metropolitan area to use our gifts and talents to save lives both in and outside of the womb. I present to you Alicia Jones.
So I'm so grateful to be here because this is the most important talk of your life. And it's also the most important talk of a lot of people in the next generation's lives because of what you do when you leave here today. Children will be saved and families will be whole. So I really commend you for being here. I commend Marcia. Yes. There is not many people who will take action after a conversation. Amen. And this woman has done that. I want to also commend Father Peter Pilsner and the Life team. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And this wonderful woman of God, I have got to get you in. And Mike Sweeney, I can't tell you. I can't tell you the Bikers of Life mean so much to so many people. I'm thanking these people, especially the Life team, because my ministry would not be here without the Life team. I was confronted in a conference, a Christian conference in Miami, like Sister Marcia had talked about. And the question was so mind-blowing and so offensive. Because she said, let me ask you a more deeper question. How come all the African-American women in New York City are aborting their babies? And I was highly upset, highly, because we are mama. We take care of our kids, other people's kids. We get in trouble for taking care of other people's kids, because that's what we do. We do that. And so she said, she saw my face and she says, well, I don't want to upset you. I want you to go upstairs in your hotel room, look at the New York State website for vital statistics, and let's have dinner. So my bishop is Pastor Roderick Garcia, so we're, you know, your Pastor Corbin is with him like that, right? And my bishop always says, when people confront you, don't get twisted. If they're right, hear them out. If they're wrong, pass them by, but smile. So I heard her out, and I went up to the hotel room, and what I saw was so disturbing to me that I felt like Moses, as he was just taking a walk and he had just encountered a burning bush. It was something that I could not look away from. It was something that led me from a $100,000 job to having my house in foreclosure to open up a pregnancy center. Can I tell you, talk about life changing. Because I cannot eat the king's meat while my people are dying in their homes, their mother's home. You understand? And I'm not here to judge women. Hey, I'm a woman. I'm not here to judge African-American women. I'm an African-American woman. I'm not here to judge intelligent women. I'm a professional. I'm ex-military. I've graduated college. I've been in administrative jobs. I'm not here to shame nobody. But I'm also one of a family of 8.
Come on.
And my mother could have easily avoided some of us because we gave her the devil. The devil. Jesus. I couldn't deal with 2 children, let alone 8 of us. But, so I've been different places in my life, but I also know that desperation doesn't have to mean destruction.
Good, it's good.
It really doesn't. So the next few minutes, I want you to entertain something. A case for life. A case for life. In the Bible, there's a story about a cupbearer named Nehemiah. And it says in the 20th year of his position there, he was met with some people from his country who had been exiled in Jerusalem. And they had came back to tell him that the walls of the city were destroyed. And what does that mean, that the walls are destroyed? He's basically sitting there and he finds his countrymen and he's asking them about the state of the city that he grew up in. And he's expecting to hear some bad news because it was an exile and it had been hard and the people were captive, but now they were free, and he wanted to know the condition after their freedom. And he is met with a horrible word, that the cities, that the walls have been destroyed. And they said to me, he says, those who survived the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and disgrace. That the wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates have been burned with fire. When I heard these things, he said, I sat down and I wept. For some days I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven, and then I said, and we will stop right there. When I heard about the statistics for New York City and abortion, I had 2 thoughts, and you can leave the light off because I'm just going to go through this. I'm not important, this is more important than me. When I heard the statistics, I felt like Nehemiah, because the city of New York is, to me, the greatest city in the world.
Amen.
We are amazing.
Yes, we are.
And there's 2 things I can say about New Yorkers. Listen, we are in the greatest city of the world, and the only time we talk to each other is Christmas and an emergency. Otherwise, we really don't want to hear from each other. But if you've ever been in New York in Christmas time, it's a magical thing. Yes. It's a magical thing. And thank God we're getting ready to enter another one of those seasons where people start to look again to God, that He does exist, and they start to look again to family, that it is possible to live in a good family. And then we also start to look again at hope. Yeah. So the emergency that they found themselves in, our city is in right now. It's been in it for several years, and as Sister Marcia had talked about very briefly, Margaret Sanger, somebody else had mentioned her name, that emergency started in Harlem. And that emergency has quickly spread throughout the 5 boroughs in Long Island in our great state, and upstate as well as downstate. And the walls of our city has definitely been torn down. The wall I'm talking about is the value for life. It's a wall, so it protects us. Value protects us. When the women come into my center, I always tell them the one thing that God gave us as a gift is the ability to create.
Yes.
That is the thing that He gave us in common with Him, the ability to create. And I don't know anybody who would intentionally destroy something they co-created, unless they forgot about the value. Next slide. This morning we'll be sharing with you for the next 20 minutes 3 things. We're going to be talking about the incidence of abortion in our state, our borough, and our surrounding community. We're going to talk about instruction on how we can make a respectful, say respectful, respectful, relevant, reasoned case for life to ourselves, our family and friends, and in number 3, involvement, practical ways, which we've already heard some today, where we can become actively involved in healing and hope for those facing unplanned pregnancies and abortion. Next slide. Okay, so pro-choice state and local government contributes to the culture of death in New York City. While New York City is one of the greatest cities and states of the world, we also have some of the highest abortion numbers in the world. So the latest vital statistics came out over the summer for 2017. Vital statistics come out every 2 to 3 years on this subject, as well as all other health indicators in our state. And you can go to the New York State website, and we should go, because we should know what's happening in our community. But that those vital statistics show us in 2017, let me see this. If I can do this. There we go. 77,810 children's lives were terminated in their mother's womb in that year. If you add the 1.4 million children, over 1.4 million children's lives that were lost to abortion through the years of 2005, which is the year I had the conversation with the woman, and 2017, you will see that over 1.5 million children have been perished in their mother's womb in 12 years in our city. 1.5 million, over that. That is abortion in New York City. Go to the next slide, please. Our center offers practical and spiritual support to abortion vulnerable women of childbearing age residing in zip codes where more children have been aborted than born, where age, socioeconomic status, domestic and dating violence, family dysfunction, and easy access to numerous abortion providers, and limited knowledge of places that they can get help, like resource centers like ours, make abortion seem like the only reasonable solution to an unintended or unplanned pregnancy. Abortion is not rare in these communities. Abortion is the rule of the day. Southeast Jamaica, Queens. That's where I grew up. So that's where my pregnancy center is. You see that green line? That's how many children were born in that one zip code, these zip codes down here. These are popular zip codes. This is where my church is, and we serve the people in these zip codes. Green line means life. Over a 10-year period, 10,255 children were born, but 12,000, a little over 12,000 children were aborted. That's the sum of just this, right? If you look at different zip codes, because when we think about abortion, it seems so large. Why do I have to care about that? 1.5 million children, what does that have to do with me? I mean, that's bad and everything, but how does it affect me in my neighborhood? This is my neighborhood. So, and I looked in the major 4 zip codes that my churches serve, the green line is always shorter than the red line. What does that mean? There's more children
consistently aborted in those zip codes they're born. That's a travesty. If I look at Far Rockaway, our neighbor, it's almost similar. Yeah, the green line is longer, but is it that much longer than the red line? So we are still aborting our children on large scale. Next slide. I was coming here, I said, okay, I'm going to Willis Avenue. What do their abortion numbers look like in the zip code surrounding this building? Is the green line much longer than the red line? When I was younger, they used to chant when I was 10 years old, abortion, legal and rare. And they used to hold up those signs. Abortion is legal, but is it rare?
No.
No, it's not. Not only in Queens is it not rare. It's not rare in the Bronx. It's not rare in Brooklyn. It's not rare in Staten Island. It's not rare in New York City.
Right.
That's a problem for me.
That's right.
Everybody can have their choice, but when their choice is taking people out by the millions. Think about it, 77,000 children, over 77,000 children died in their mother's womb in 1 year. If 77,000 children died of chicken pox in 1 year, what would Governor Cuomo do?
Oh my goodness.
It's amazing that this statistic is never talked about in that term. Let's go to the next slide. Abortion is the leading cause of death for African Americans in New York State consistently from 2005 to 2017. I'm a nurse. I like to think of myself as an intelligent woman. And when that girl challenged me in that conference, I was mad. Because I had no time for this type of problem. I'm being honest. I had so much I needed to do. I was a hospital administrator for a major hospital in New York City. I had a lot of demands on my life, and what the heck, now I got this on my plate. So I said, I'm gonna find a reason not to get involved. So I'm gonna keep checking the statistics, and I know things are gonna change. And I know what I'm gonna do. I said, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna look at the leading cause of death, because really, it couldn't be that bad. It couldn't be what she's saying, and I know what I saw on the computer, but I got it wrong. So I said, let me look for the leading cause of death. Remember, I'm a nurse. Okay, we die of cancer, we die of heart disease, we die of strokes. Okay, that's gotta be way more than this abortion thing, and that's my out. Hello, no. Stroke, 9,982. Diabetes, 12,045. Cancer, and I'm a cancer survivor. Okay, 61,126. I said, surely heart disease. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. You got it. 79,474. When you put abortion next to all of that, how are we dying, people? Jesus. How are we dying? And I put the stat here because I don't want you to believe me. You get on the website. But you know what? New York State doesn't have abortion with the 4 leading causes death side to side. Because if people ever seen it that way, they would flip. So you have to put it together. And there's something that we have to do as Christians called let my people think. Because when we start thinking, then we start changing the community.
Amen.
Let's go to the next slide. But abortion is not only the leading cause of death for African Americans in New York City, it's also the leading cause of death for Hispanics. And it's so unfortunate because I love the Hispanic culture. Listen, when you are an administrator at Elmhurst Hospital for over 10 years, you begin to love the Hispanic culture. The food, the people, it's wonderful. The dancing, I love the dance. I love the music. I love the way they refer to their children, mi vida, mi cielo, pobrecito.
That's right.
I love it because it shows such a value for children, such a value for life, such a respect for one another. But when I look at the statistics, I said, what happened to the culture? Stroke, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, add them all up, it does not come near almost 500,000 children perishing in their mother's womb for abortion. Wow. What happened? Next slide. Well, it's not just the Hispanics and the African Americans, my friend, because everybody always tells me, we get blamed for everything. It is also the #1 cause of death for white Americans in New York City. The only thing that comes close to that is heart disease, so guys, we gotta calm down. We are tiny, okay? But abortion is still the #1 cause of death. Go to the next slide, please. So our strategy as New Beginning Center of Hope is to refocus people on the importance of the value of life. What we tell them when they come through the door, the young women, is, listen, God values you, so we value you, and we value the life that you created.
Amen.
Can we sit together and talk about what makes you think that you want to end that life? If we don't have conversations like this, we're going to keep statistics like this. In New York, for every 1 abortion, there are 4 live births of Caucasians. For every 2 live births of Hispanics, there's 1 abortion. But for African Americans, almost it still rings the same. For every birth, we're having 1 abortion. So we go to the place that the gentleman expressed on last week. We are doing a self-created genocide, and we are sleeping while our children are dying. A recent CBS local news story that aired in 2018 in May around Mother's Day said that in the United States, we have hit a 30-year low on birth rates. A 30-year low. Women in their teens, 20s, and 30s are surprisingly having the fewest babies in the past 30 years. So it's not just an African American problem, it's not just a New York problem, it's a country, a national problem. That Americans are not having children, we are destroying our children.
God help us.
God help us. Next slide. These are more than just numbers. When I get into statistics, you know, the intelligent people say, yes, a reasoned argument for these Christians, thank God. But then the other people say, it's just numbers. But these are more than numbers. These are our children. You see each of these children? That's just a small drop of children that have been spared from abortion because their mothers came to our center.
Amen.
Amen.
Next slide. Before She Decides is New Beginning Center of Hope. We are Christians who do not dance and shout in church alone because we are Pentecostals. I'm telling Pearl, I just want to run around the room right now. Okay, we are Christians from different churches in the New York area who have combined counseling, medical care, and the gospel to save children in our city.
Amen.
This is my doctor's. It's Alicia. I met Alicia Knight DeBrady at a banquet for Bridge to Life. And when I met her, I said, your name is Alicia? And she said, yeah. I said, I'm Alicia too. We're going to rule the world for Jesus. I was so excited because I finally met a doctor who's pro-life and who wants to get in the struggle and put her license behind her testimony. It's an amazing combination. The other doctor, Dr. Diane, who's sitting there so beautiful and blue, so when I met her, I was at a shoe drive, and I was doing a public talk like this, and she came up to me and she looked so young. I thought she needed services. She says, hi, how are you? And she has this soft voice. I said, I'm fine. I said, how can I help you? She says, well, I'm a doctor. I had to take a double take. Because I had Chaplain Viviana praying for 4 years that we get a pro-life doctor.
Amen.
And now the Lord gave me 2 in the space of 3 months.
Hallelujah!
And guess what they said? I don't want no money. We don't want no money. We just want to come and do whatever you need us to do.
Thank you, Jesus.
That's God.
Amen.
Next slide. Not only do we have a wonderful health team, we have volunteers. All these lovely ladies in the black, those are female care consultants. These gentlemen, we need men in this movement. These gentlemen work with the young men. And together, medical and lay people and men in our community have bonded together to form a center so that women don't have to abort their babies.
Amen, Lord.
Next slide. Our mission, look at that, that's the point. That's what God intended. That is what God intended. To save life both inside and outside of the womb by equipping women experiencing unplanned pregnancy to make informed pregnancy decisions that lead to life-affirming choices for themselves and their preborn children. One of the travesties of the pro-choice movement is they pit the mother against the child.
Yes.
Right. The strongest will survive. It's either you or them. Choose you. Because they're not even a them. They're not even real. You're here today. You're paying the bills. You're in this abusive relationship. You're the one who's going to get kicked out of your home. You're the one who's never going to have a life. But God intended that we have a woman, we have a man, and we have the child that He gifted them to create. That's God's plan. That's what the pro-life movement is about. It's not about shaming women. It's about affirming God's plan of value for them and their preborn children. And not for nothing, it's not about kicking the man out.
That's right. Never.
This ain't no welfare situation where they make, oh, you can get more money if he don't live in your home. That was a mess.
Talk about it.
And put the child first. Lord have mercy. That's another show. Next. Why are we engaging in these activities? We need to, yes, give the woman a choice. I was having a conversation with one of the pastors here today, and I said, you know, I can't get with telling her she's killing her baby when she comes in my office because she's not going to listen to me.
Right.
But what I can tell her is, listen, God always gives you a choice. I can show you in the Bible when He gives you a choice. Says, I put before you what? Life and death. And death. Choose life. John 10, He talks about abundant life.
Amen.
So God gives you that choice. Value. He gives you a choice because He values you. He doesn't want an automaton, a robot to serve Him. He gives you that choice because you have value to Him and because He wants the best for you. That's God's heart for you. So do you feel shame right now? And they go, no, but I just have this situation. I said, does this place look like they want to shame you? No. I said, can we continue this conversation? Yes. And then we continue the conversation. Next. Why do women abort? They're overwhelmed. They have low-income situations. They are either living single or couples living together from paycheck to paycheck. And many of them have already had children. Sometimes they get pressure from their family and friends. That picture that Pastor Pilsner, Father Pilsner put up was very profound because it said under the picture where the lady had the cradle on her back that well-meaning family and friends told me that this was the right thing to do. Vulnerable victims of dating and intimate partner violence. We don't call it domestic violence anymore in healthcare. We call it intimate partner violence. So the one that you love the most, you are most intimate with, the one that you gave everything to, including your body, is being violent against you. And you don't want that violence to be brought on to your child. Past hurts and faulty thinking, failed relationships, childhood experiences, and children being an unwanted, unnecessary burden. I spoke to a young lady who saw her ultrasound at 21 weeks, and I performed the ultrasound because I was trained and I'm licensed as a nurse, and we have a malpractice insurance, and we do things right, and we do not deceive women.
Amen.
And when I talked to her, she said, you know, Miss Jones, I hear everything you said, but from the time I can walk, my mother told me I ruined her life. And I will never want to have that conversation with my child. So I will be aborting this child. Faulty thinking and past hurts. Young first-time fathers with little or no male role models. And that's why God has blessed our center with black men and Hispanic men who can serve as role models for these young girls. Next slide. So really is abortion the result of women being selfish? Let's get that straight right now. Nobody trying to be selfish and you know, it's just another thing to do. Even the ones who kind of come in and present that way, when you sit down and talk to them and get them away from their giggling girlfriend, the real Aisha comes out. And Aisha's not trying to abort her baby, but she got a front to keep up with her friends. She has to not shame her parents. She has to have a life for herself, and she's 16 years old. Sometimes they are being trafficked. You see the little young lady down here says, "I'm not for sale." My center is near John F. Kennedy Airport. There's sexual trafficking going on over there all the time. So the woman that we're judging, as we see her walk into Choices, which is the abortion clinic 7 blocks away from our center, is not what you think. She may not be there by choice. Next slide. It's not a baby till it's born. Faulty thinking. Faulty thinking. Next slide. I'm praying this next slide works. Can you click it?
That's good.
Okay, I'm laying out right now.
If it were shown that the 2-year-old and the fetus were equally human, do you think the law should equally protect both?
I think it's different if you compare an unborn human versus like a born human. Because if a human is born, then they've already achieved their life on this planet, and then they were born to live life on this earth as a human being. But I mean, I think up until the point they're born, the person should have a right to abort their child or not.
Let me ask you this, I'm curious your thoughts, and it's not a trap question, I'm just wondering how you would answer. Doctors in San Francisco are doing surgery on fetuses in utero. They're repairing herniated diaphragms, and what they do is they remove the fetus from the womb, partially, repair the herniated diaphragm, then put the fetus back in the womb where it's born normally 12 weeks later. Do you think at that point the fetus goes from being non-human with no rights to briefly being human and having rights, and then back to being non-human with no rights again?
No, I think it's just, I don't think it's the non-human, human, non-human. I think it's just, the entire process is just as a fetus.
So would it be, let's say there was a situation where a woman prematurely gives birth to a fetus at 28 weeks.
Okay.
Child's born. But her best friend is standing next to her with a child in utero at 40 weeks that is way more developed than the one at 28 weeks. Do you see anything different between those two?
Well, I mean, in the first case where the child's already born, like I said, I think you only have the right to abort up until the point that baby was born. So that's that. But I mean, like with the other person with the 40 weeks mother, I still think she has the right to abort whatever she wants. Yeah.
So, last question. You think it's the location that's decisive?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't abort a child that's born.
Right.
So, yeah, as long as it's in there, I think you have the right to. Because, I mean, it's your baby, and you made it, and so you should have whatever. Like, even though it's a human being, like, it's going to a human being, but you still have every right to do what you want with it, I think.
Simply because you created it.
Right.
Wow.
So you're creating the child gives you the right to end its life.
Well, not like murder, but I mean, if you wanted to, yes. You do have I think you should have the right to end the child's life if it needs to be.
You can kill them,
Wow.
But you can't kill me.
Next video.
Can I get that video, please? Thank you.
Yeah, next slide. So let's talk about a case for life. And I want you to have an intelligent conversation, because listen folks, Thanksgiving is coming up. And if you have family, 10 minutes?
Max.
Yep, that's what I got here, I'm good. If you have family, you're gonna have some difficult conversations unless you hide the wine bottle. So abortion and politics will probably come up. And it'll tear up your Thanksgiving dinner. So if that happens, think about this video and you can have an intelligent conversation regarding this issue.
So there's been a lot of talk about this recently. People debating whether or not this is a person, a valuable life, a human being to be protected, or something that's more easily disposable. So let's simplify this conversation a bit by considering the SLED test, a 4-part discussion that confirms the value of all life. I've heard a lot of people say, how can something so small be a person? Well, I'm just curious. Why can't something so small be a person? Let's think about it this way. We have 3 different people here, all different sizes, all different ages. Is the smallest person less valuable than the bigger person just because she's smaller? So what makes this any different? If size has nothing to do with the value of a human being, how can we say that the life inside of a womb is of less value simply because it's smaller? Well, surely the fact that the unborn is less developed than the rest of us means something, right? I've heard this question a lot. How can something that's not even fully developed yet be a person? Imagine if your development or abilities determine your value as a person. We'll take this duo here, for example. One of them, well, he's practically Einstein, and the other, well, she's getting it. So just because she's not as developed as he is yet, does that make her less of a person? So what makes this any different? If our level of development doesn't make or break us as human beings, how can we say that a life inside of a womb is of less value simply because it's not fully developed yet? Then there's the argument about this. I've heard a lot of people ask, is the unborn really a person if it's not in the world yet? First, let's start by saying they are in the world, just in a different location. Let's think about ourselves. Our environments are always changing, but as we know, our personhood always remains the same. So let me ask, if the value of personhood is determined by one's environment, does that mean our value changes when we move from place to place? So what makes this any different? If our environment has nothing to do with our value as human beings, how can we say that the life inside of the womb is not a person just because its environment looks different than ours? Additionally, personhood is not defined by this. I've heard a lot of people say, the unborn is totally dependent on its mother, so how can it be a person? Well, I just gotta ask, why can't it be a person? Let's take this little guy for example. He's 21 months old and he can do some things on his own. He can play with toys and run around, but there's still a lot he needs help with. You know, like general hygiene, putting on clothes and eating. But just because he still depends on his mom for all of that stuff, doesn't make him any less of a human, does it? So what makes this any different? If personhood is not determined by our degree of dependency, how can we say that a life inside of the womb is not a person just because it depends on its mother for survival? It seems pretty clear when we look at all of these arguments, whether it's size, level of development, environment, or degree of dependency, that none of them define our personhood or our value as human beings.
So that's a case for life. Those 2 videos come from Scott Klusendorf. He is a Christian bioethicist, and he made it his world mission to go and talk to people about this in an intelligent way by asking questions. And wasn't Jesus so effective by asking questions? He was very effective. Next slide, I have to skip that one, I'm sorry. So New Beginning Center of Hope is not about abortion. We're about life.
Amen.
Do you see anybody upset in those pictures? That we talk to them about their intimate sexual activity and abortion? No. Next slide. Why is church connection so important? Because at the pregnancy center, we can get a woman started on the road to Christ and the cross and a firm foundation for making a pregnancy decision. We can help her through all the issues that she has. And our center walks with them 3 years until after the baby is born. But we cannot place her in a continual community where she thrives and she grows and she's discipled as a follower of Jesus Christ. So therefore, the church and the Pregnancy Resource Center must work collaboratively.
Amen.
Next slide. At the end of the scripture that I referenced in the opening, Nehemiah says, after enemies have come against him to stop what they were doing in building a wall, he says, then I looked over the situation and I called together the nobles and the rest of the people and said to them, don't be afraid of the enemy, our governor, our mayor, our pro-choice people in this state. Don't be afraid of the enemy. Remember the Lord, who is great and glorious, and fight for your brothers, fight for your sons, fight for your daughters, and fight for your wives and your homes. Amen. And that is what New Beginning Center of Hope, that is what the Life Team does, that is what Expect Hope does. We fight. Is abortion a simple dispute between religion and politics, or is it an opportunity for pregnancy resource centers to work collaboratively with churches to meet women where she is and help her thrive? It's my life mission to do the latter.
Amen.
And I am here because I truly believe you and your pastor have the same mission. If you are in this room, this is your burning bush. Do not go away and not listen to the Lord. God bless you.
So, her video describes some of the responses you guys gave about why a person will consider having an abortion, what they feel is the need that's driving them to have an abortion. Fear, finances, sometimes it's selfishness, because that's just kind of how the society has sort of shaped us to this me generation, and it's about me and my future. And the funny thing is that it seems like the culture is saying that, woman, you can't handle being a woman. You can't handle being a mother. So go ahead and, take that to the side. Go ahead and go to a service and get rid of that. We are stronger than that. We are strong enough to be mothers, have careers, have families, travel, do all of those things. Shop, hello. We are able to do all of those things. We're not limited because we have a child.
That's right.
And it seems like society is saying, look, that's a hindrance. You need to really just focus on you, and let's do this really quick. But we can do it all. We are women. We can do it all. We can. Okay, I'm going back. Remember that perfume commercial, Anjali? Okay, give me two hands. Anjali. I can, how did it go? It's a song, it's a great commercial. I can go to work, I can bring home the bacon, put it in the pan, never let you forget your man. Hello. Can we do Shaka Khan? The point is that we are more than just women. We are more than one thing. We are multidimensional. But society would have us think that it's an interruption. And it's not an interruption. It's a little pause. That's all it is. It's just a pause. Okay? And then we can resume on with things as usual. So a lot of these things here, ignorance, people just don't know, no housing, financial, no support, fear, all those things. Financial circumstances, bad relationships, too young to be a parent. Okay. Over here. What are some of the solutions? Selflessness, right? And to me, that's the other side of taking your responsibility seriously, right? Okay, some of y'all handwriting, it's not right. Education and knowledge. More talk about what makes you feel rejected. Okay, let's go on this side. Well, I guess that stays here. Support, love. Support maternity homes. Support maternity homes. I wonder who wrote this one. Support maternity homes. Help give support and introduce her to people who will help her. Sisters of Life. Solutions, love. Love casts out fear. Family support, church, something. Okay. And so these are some solutions to what people feel are problems, and they are available. They're available through us sharing it with people. They're available with us being in a position or having a relationship or even being approachable so that someone can come to you and say, hey, listen, can I tell you something? Can I confide in you? And then as people can confide in us, we can then have that opportunity, that open door to say, yes, hey, I know some people. I know somebody who knows somebody who can help support you, right? And to just dial it back a little bit, just slow it down a little bit enough so that you can think on it. If we just think on it, there are a lot of times when, there've been times, you're at work and somebody says something that rubs you the wrong way. And for me, sometimes someone can say something and I don't even know I was insulted until the next day. And I wake up and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, they just insulted me. And so sometimes it's better to take a minute to sleep on something before you make your decision, before you respond. But when I do know somebody says something disrespectful, I can't respond right then and there. For me, I have to sleep on it. I have to sleep on it because I want to keep a job. So then the next day, I'm able to formulate a better response and a better decision, right? So it's important for us to help people and just get this information. When someone is like pressuring you to do something and pressure, get it done, do it now, that's a problem, right? So if we can be that voice where we can say, I hear you, let's think about it, let's just take a little bit more time, and let's hear from someone else. I may not have the answer for you, but I think I know somebody who may have the answer for you. So with that said, we can be the solution, right? By sharing what we've learned today and last week, and sharing it so that other people can benefit from it. So I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Again, this is the beginning of conversations, because when you were speaking, my sister Jeanette, it was like, this can be a forum for people to come to share some of their experiences, right? If they can't talk about it over here and they can't talk about it over here, this can be a platform for that. So I thank you for sharing that, because I totally got what you were saying. I totally got it, and I really appreciate it. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
If you go to any pregnancy resource center in New York like mine, whether it be New Beginning Center, Hope, Expect Hope, Avail in Mid-Manhattan, because this is the Bronx. If you go to Borough Pregnancy Counseling Center and Bayside, Queens, if you go to Soundview in Long Island, none of the services are charged, and Bridge to Life. None of the services.
Is there a list for those resources somewhere?
Yes, Life Team has everything that we offer are free of charge. And so, and I forgot, AAA in Long Island, they're with Soundview. Also, those two are two pregnancy centers with Gloria Schreiber. If you go send a girl to a pregnancy resource center, she will never have to give up any money. She will just have to give up her time. So you can feel safe that she's not going to be abused. Okay?
I'm sorry, you said life?
Bridge to Life, Avail, AAA, Pregnancy Services, also called the Life Center, and Soundview, and New Beginning Center of Hope. So in the 5 boroughs, you have plenty of places to send women. And Sisters of Life, of course, in Manhattan. Plenty of places to send women so they don't have to abort.
So what's gonna happen is, on my website, I'm gonna talk to you and I'm just gonna type it up real quick and then just put everything, get the links. And then once you go to my website, you just click on the link and go straight to there. All right, because we need to have all these resources in one location so that everybody's not going all over the place and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Amen. So, thank you so much. Before you leave, please fill out the evaluation form. Thank you so much.
Thank you.